Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shiras and Shenanigans. Here is my first podcast. I have decided that I'm going to probably be giving you more of these than video ones because I don't want you to get stuck watching. I want you to be able to throw your earpods in, or earbuds, or whatever the heck they're called, and keep moving on with your day as you listen. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Every now and then I'll throw up a video, and I'll definitely throw up some shenanigans. It seems like a nice day out there today, so I think I might go and do some cartwheels for the hell of it. So anyway, okay, today's topic, let's see. All right, these blogs are for, right now at least, this first section is going to be for beginners who are looking for self-help things. I've read a lot of self-help books or religious books and things like that over my life, so it's one of those things that's kind of intrinsic at this point for me, but at the same time there are some quicker ways to get there. So in the end, know that you are going to have to do the work. You are. But it doesn't mean that the work has to always take hours and hours of journaling or going through books and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. There are some easier ways to get there, and I'm here to deliver those. So first thing is, I need you to get really in depth with your shadow side. Now, shadow side could mean toxic pain, which is more of things like, I'm not enough, I'm not worth it, nobody wants me, nobody cares, that kind of toxic pain that you possibly either grew up with by people calling you stupid, idiot, not good enough, cussing at you, whatever it is. There's that toxic pain that comes, from an outside source and actually helps mold and change the inner dialogue. Or it could be something that you didn't grow up with, like myself, but at the same time you've encountered through your life. So that's explaining toxic pain. Toxic shame is actually more of when you've done something that goes against your moral code, and excuse me, it could have happened before you had a moral code when you were young, or it could happen after you had one and then you decided to break it because you knew you could learn something. I know I've done that myself. So and with that toxic shame comes something deeper that I've been through an experience, but it wasn't the same as toxic pain. I've gone through the toxic pain before of thinking I'm not enough. And the toxic shame, I can tell you right now, it's way worse, because it is this strange, looming, dark depression that kind of comes over where you actually think you're a bad person, or you're never going to be a good person, and you have these good and bad critical ways of thinking about yourself and others in these judgmental ways. And you've got yourself wrapped in this, I'm a bad person, I don't do things right, I'm wrong all the time. So it's this other negative thing that's more it's not something that comes extrinsically being told to you, like you're an idiot or what other people do, and then you take it intrinsically. It's more, it comes from intrinsic, like the intrinsic side of yourself, because it goes against something that you believe or something that you don't want to have be part of your life, and it's something that you created within. So that's toxic shame. And a lot of books and people don't really separate those two. They just kind of lump it into toxic shame, but being someone that's experienced both, I can tell you they're extremely different. And that's, toxic shame is when you get a lot of the suicidal thoughts where it's more along the lines of, I'm a bad person, I don't deserve to be here. Nobody will want me because I'm bad. There are suicidal thoughts that are in toxic pain as well, but that's more like, I'm not enough, I'm not worth anything. Will anybody even notice if I'm gone? So there's various suicidal thoughts, and they apply to two different types of toxic shadow that we all have. So the first thing I want to say is whether or not you've experienced either one of those, which I'm sure that on some level, whether it's a light degree or a low degree or a deeper degree, on some level, everybody probably has gone through some of that. However, going through that and coming out on the other side both have kind of a little bit of the same solution. And a lot of times when we're doing things like reading the books or listening to vlogs or podcasts or whatever, it's some, we're still letting that outside influence come in. And so what I want to do is help you guys create the influence from the inside. And it's still from the outside and the inside in a way, but I think you'll get what I'm talking about. So my first thing that I really want you to do is realize you're not fixed and that you're nothing. And what I mean by that is not that you're not nothing or you don't mean anything, but you're not a fixed being. You're not always sad or always mad or always this. Even in sadness, even in depths of darkness, there are still things that make us smile. So first, acknowledge to yourself that you're nothing. You're nothing that is fixed. You don't have a fixed way of being. You might have a habitual way of being, but it's not a fixed way of being. So recognize that you're not fixed and be willing to simply admit that to yourself. A meditation for that would almost be a mantra of, I'm nothing and I'm everything. Because whenever there is a nothing, there's also a something that's oppositional to that. You can't have nothing without having something, because if you had nothing, you wouldn't know it was nothing without there being something. Just like you can't have good days without having bad days, because the opposition is what helps that be known. So get really comfortable with acknowledging in your own meditation or your own morning thoughts that you're nothing and that you're everything. So don't just stop at that you're nothing, but acknowledge that the nothing is there. You're not any one way of being. You're in no ways of being with all abilities of being different ways. So you're nothing and you're everything. That's part of the darker side we don't usually want to pay attention to or look at. Because it hurts, because intrinsically we believe we are nothing sometimes, or that we don't have anything to offer, but we stay with I'm nothing. And you have to really look at that. What does nothing mean? That you don't exist at all? Or that you feel like you don't exist at all? Because there are days when you smile. There are days when you feel you can still feel things that you touch or see things possibly, listen to things, hear things, feel things inside. So there's something. So get really, really clear with that you are nothing and you are everything. That you are not fixed and you are malleable. Okay? So that's the kind of the base acknowledgement within, to kind of get real clear to that and accept it. Really, really accept that, what? I am not any one of these things. I'm not any one of these things that somebody has called me or that I inherently believe. I'm all of these things. I'm all of nothing and I'm all of everything. I'm together in them, and I have the power to force feed either one of those. Okay. In regard to force feeding and the tip of the day, if you're stuck in that area of I'm nothing, and if you've heard this and this kind of relates to something you can connect with, that what, I feel like this a lot. I have a habit of feeling like nothing a lot. However, Adrienne has a point. I'm not fixed in nothing. I am malleable. I do have good days. I do have bad days. I do have better days. Even if they're not good, I have better ones. And I do smile. And I do laugh. And I get jokes. And I see that there are some days that I'm angry and some days I feel better. So you're a malleable being. You're not a fixed one. So from there, we're going to focus on what we want to feel more of. Now, knowing that we are malleable, we're going to focus on what we want to feel more of. And my quickest cheat to this is being willing. Here's a shenanigans thing. It's not a typical shenanigans thing, but it's a shenanigans thing, and you've got to be willing to kind of let those into your life. And the shenanigans in this one is being willing to look crazy to your family. How's that one? That's a shenanigan. So my quickest tip to that is writing on your mirror. We get these books or we have journals and things, and you write in them, but it's not always something you read every day. You can maybe go back and read it and be like, oh man, I was in a dark place that day or a light place that day or whatever, but or have a journal that you are supposed to look at every day, but maybe you didn't have time to look at it today, or an entry or even a mantra that you've said, I'm going to say this to myself every day, but there are times that you forget to say it. So my suggestion and quick tip cheat to that is write on your mirror. This being a shenanigan, right, is being willing to do crazy things or to look crazy or seem crazy, and no, you're not going to be fixed in crazy. Okay? A lot of that fixed in craziness or whatever else will come with judgment, and we'll talk about judgment in another one. But for today, let's just go ahead and be willing to put ourselves out there, even in front of the people we love most. So, as far as writing on your mirror goes, the mirror that I have two different mirrors. I actually haven't changed either one of them in a year. It's something that I did back in my 20s when I was having a dark time and going through toxic pain, and it's something I started again last January when I was actually going through toxic shame. So writing on your mirror, what I did was on my dresser mirror, I wrote, remember who you are for me. I love you. Signed A. And that was my message to me. It was something that when I went to my dresser to pull out my clothes, then I saw it. Even if I didn't read it every day, my eyes still picked it up. So it was something that was there for me every day. The other thing that I have is in my bathroom mirror. I'm going to go ahead and walk over there and read it to you. My bathroom mirror, I've chosen to write a very long list of things that when I was dealing with toxic shame, and I think it's probably double size the list that I wrote myself when I was 20. But when I was dealing with toxic shame, I knew what I really wanted to focus on. So my list in my bathroom, and the reason why I chose my bathroom is because I have pretty good, my mom would not always say it is because sometimes I have mom moments, but I have a pretty good habit of brushing my teeth. So in my bathroom mirror, is where I've chosen to write this. And again, it's because I know I'm going to go in there at least twice a day. I know I'm going to be in there for about 2 minutes, standing in front of my mirror brushing my teeth. So why not write a little message to myself in there? And and it's a long message, and I don't, like I said, I don't read it every day anymore, but I see it every day. So it still is something that's functioning, that's coming in through peripheral vision, and still affecting my brain chemistry, and kind of motivating that behind the scenes. So remember that the things that you stick in front of you are going to be things that still have an effect, even if you're not always conscious with them. So my list says, Adrian, always remember, you are bold, you are tender, you are cherished, you are beautiful, you are brilliant, you are fun, you are worth it, you are strong, you are compassionate, connected, accepted, complete, whole, enough, meaningful, healthy, important, supported, seen, safe, truth, love, light, everything, nothing, expression, healed, home, forgiven, powerful, memorable, endless, energy, influence, honor, sexy, more, and loved. Love A. So that is my list to myself, written in my bathroom. Now, as far as shenanigans go, did my husband walk in one day and go, what the fuck did you do? And I said, yeah, I wrote a list to myself. I said, you know, I grew up with an extremely strong internal dialogue that I would say I got from my parents. They were pretty good about giving a lot of compliments and really telling us who we are and seeing past some of the, the things that we did. However, did I still have doubts in my younger years? Yes. Did I still have some toxic pain and maybe even some toxic shame there? Yes, I did. In my 20s, when I moved out from my parents, though, and then I experienced a low point in my life, then I think that at that point, I hadn't opened up my dance studio yet, but I had already worked with kids, and I knew that I wanted to help be someone who trained their internal dialogue to something that was better. And that internal dialogues are important, because I did grow up with sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. However, there's that little teeny asterisk down there that says, unless you believe them. So something that you might have grown up with that you believed, or that you put on yourself as a kid, and it wasn't, and maybe it was something that somebody else said, a bully, maybe it was something your parents said, siblings said, cousins, family members, whatever. There were some outer things. I wouldn't say that my parents ever said those things to me, but I had cousins, and I had friends, and I had bullies, and I had aunts and uncles, and jokes, and sarcasm, and all of that. So there were things that still stuck. And when I started teaching dance at a young age, I knew that I always wanted to help train that or be an inspiring feature to children. And then when I moved out and lived on my own and was going through this, then one of the things I would always do with kids is I'd actually make themselves talk to themselves in the mirror every time and tell them that they love them and tell them something good about themselves. And then I realized at 20, man, I'm not doing that. So I think I haven't done it in a long time, but I remember giving myself a kiss in the morning every morning on the mirror. So I would look at myself and tell myself I love you and give me a kiss, and I'd write my little list and I'd read it to myself and remember it. So I trained my inner dialogue to focus on the things that I knew I wanted more of in my life. And again, when I hit my low point 2 years ago, which was, it was funny because it was something that I chose, but I knew it would be low. I didn't know how low. It was pretty damn low. So, but it was chosen. I, I, I chose it in a way of, you know what, there's going to be something for me to learn here that I can help with. Because I've always been about really wanting to help build others so that they can do and live their best life. So this was my lowest point by choice, knowing it would be a low point, taking that on and really learning from it. And then pulling myself back out of it, because I needed to know when people are in these low points, or when I hear people talk about how they're not enough, or everybody leaves them, or nobody likes them, or they're too fat, or they're too skinny, or they're too stupid, or too idiotic, or whatever. When I hear people be demeaning to themselves, it was like, golly, how do you fight that? How do you come out of that? Because being somebody from the outside saying, dude, you're worth it, you're awesome, it doesn't, I don't know that it helps them, but these things have to come from inside at the same time. Otherwise, they're clinging and codependent, and or not codependent, dependent upon constantly needing reinforcement, outside reinforcement. One of the things that my mom reminded me of is that she really tried to always stay away from me as a child of saying, I'm proud of you. Instead, she turned it into, you should be proud of you. And I think that was probably very powerful in my life. So I don't know if I remember any instances of it, but I've definitely used it with my kids. So anyway, that is my list. It's there every morning. My husband thought I was crazy. He told me it reminded him of it's that movie. That movie with the crazy guy that leaves post-it notes all over the place. He's like brilliant at the same time. So, and you know, being somebody who's married to a man that kind of really inherently is scared of mental issues, but at the same time wants to work through them and likes trying to solve them or whatever, then I think that kind of freaked him the fuck out when I started writing on my mirror. So, but it's something that I don't change it every day. You can write your mantra up there. You can just write a little note. You can change it every day, but don't be afraid to do it, because that is a shenanigan, and that is one of the first steps of kind of getting out of your shell. And at the same time, it's something that's happening and coming from you as a message to you, for you. So it's not building from outside attention. It's not building from outside acknowledgement. It's not building from something that if you lost one day, then you couldn't recover. You know, if something happened where you're even a huge success and then somehow something falls and you fail, then are you dependent upon the outside resource to build you back up? And if those resources aren't there, then where do you go? So this is something that, again, it's from you, it's for you, and it's going to affect within you. And it's something that's self-created and has that internal effect. And like I said, I chose my mirror because it's there. It's bluntly in my face. It's not in a journal or a book that I have to open and read. It's not even in a memo to myself on my phone that I might have to listen to or be active about. I was active about it one time, and it remains there and still carries effect and weight today. And if I'm even just having a bad day, I can come in here and I can read it, or when I do come in here, I make sure to read it. But it's always there bluntly in my face, telling me who I am and what I want to magnify about myself. So that is your little cheat for today, and I will be back. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and post some videos on here too, but I really want you to be still active in your life. So making sure that I don't give you a lot of things that you want to look at, because I know I make some crazy facial expressions sometimes. So, other than that, have a great morning, and I will sign on again next week. I'm hoping to kind of, for a while, post something at least every day, which is why I've kind of decided to go to the voice recordings. So come back and check in. Love you.